Thanks for the advice.
Ray has spent years serving as an elite soldier, but his latest assignment takes him to Mombasa for a high-risk rescue mission. His target is Sandra, a woman who desperately needs to be brought to safety. With the mission finally behind him and Sandra safe, Ray returns home to the one person he has been longing to see, his wife Gina. The couple put everything else aside and head to a secluded beachfront villa, hoping to enjoy some much-needed time together. However, their peaceful escape doesn't last long. The following morning, Ray wakes up and realizes that Gina isn't there. At first, he has no idea where she went. Then he notices a note she left behind, discovered while he was in the bathroom. But what Ray doesn't know is that this simple note is about to change everything. After taking down the two men, Ray rushes after Gina. But before he can get far, he accidentally runs straight into another man. The stranger turns out to be Martin, a hired gun who has been trying to uncover how Ray obtained information about the Mombasa operation. When Ray refuses to give him an answer, Martin brings out Gina, who has already been taken hostage. He threatens to kill her if Ray continues to keep his mouth shut. Even under pressure, Ray insists that he genuinely has no idea who leaked the information to him. As far as he knows, he was simply carrying out orders given by his superiors. Watching Martin brutally threaten his wife pushes Ray over the edge. Furious and desperate for revenge, he vows that he will track Martin down no matter where he hides. Meanwhile, inside a highly advanced laboratory, Ray lies unconscious inside a specialized bioelectric chamber. The machine is designed to pump energy into microscopic nanites inside his body, allowing him to survive and recover. Once the procedure is complete, Ray briefly regains consciousness before passing out again. When he finally wakes up for good, he finds himself surrounded by Harding, the chief scientist of RSD, a company specializing in advanced technology and defense, along with his colleague Katie. Seeing that Ray is finally awake, Harding immediately begins questioning him. He asks Ray to recall his name and the military rank he once held. But there's a problem: Ray can't remember any of it. Harding then reveals the truth about Ray's resurrection. After Ray died, the US military handed over his remains to RSD because no relatives ever came forward to claim his body. Ray became the very first person Harding successfully brought back to life, using his experimental technology. As Harding and the others give Ray a tour of the RSD facility, they explain the company's main objective: rebuilding what they consider the US military's greatest asset, the soldiers themselves. To demonstrate just how advanced the technology is, Harding suddenly cuts Ray's hand with a knife. Instead of bleeding normally, the wound almost immediately closes on its own. Under a microscope, the reason becomes clear. Ray's bloodstream is filled with microscopic nanobots capable of detecting injuries and repairing damaged tissue almost instantly. After proving that the technology could successfully restore individual organs, Harding decided to take the experiment one step further by applying it to the entire human body. Ray was the first full-body test subject, and so far, the results have exceeded expectations. Still confused about why he can't remember his past, Ray demands an explanation. Harding tells him that memory loss is a normal side effect of the resurrection process. For now, Ray needs to stop looking backward and concentrate on the life he has been given. Later, Harding introduces Ray to 3 other reconstructed soldiers in the rehabilitation area. First is Katie, a former Navy diver whose respiratory system was severely damaged. Then there's Tibbs, an elite Special Forces soldier who lost his eyes after being hit by a weapon and now uses artificial ones. Finally, there's Jimmy, a former soldier whose legs were destroyed in an explosion and replaced with powerful robotic prosthetics. Exhausted from everything that has happened, Ray eventually returns to his room. Jimmy briefly stops by to greet him before leaving. But once Ray falls asleep, disturbing nightmares suddenly drag him back awake. Unable to rest, he decides to test the abilities of his newly rebuilt body instead. After seeing just how powerful he has become, Ray eventually settles down beside the pool to clear his head. By chance, he notices Katie swimming nearby and becomes fascinated by the way she moves through the water. Katie soon realizes that Ray has been watching her. She climbs out of the pool and sits beside him, where she finds him still troubled by the strange nightmares he can't explain, even though he has no memories of his former life. Rather than giving him a complicated answer, Katie offers Ray a military coin that once belonged to her former commander. She hopes it will remind him that he isn't completely alone. Later, Katie invites Ray to have a drink with her, hoping to take his mind off everything. But just then, Ray hears a mysterious voice whispering in his head. The sound triggers a sudden memory, the face of the man responsible for killing his wife. Driven by the memory, Ray takes a car and leaves the facility without permission. Harding immediately realizes something is wrong. Because billions of nanobots inside Ray's body remain connected to RSD's system, he can remotely access Ray's brain and monitor his movements. Harding orders Ray to turn around and come back, but Ray refuses to stop. Concerned that his valuable asset could be killed or captured, Harding sends his men after him. By accessing Ray's neural data, Harding discovers exactly who Ray is looking for: Martin. With the help of Eric, a highly skilled programmer, the team begins digging into Martin's identity. Thanks to their advanced tracking system, Eric is eventually able to pinpoint the target's location. At the same time, Martin walks out of an upscale clothing store and climbs into a waiting convoy. Eric immediately confirms that they've found him. As Martin's convoy travels down the road, something strange happens. The streetlights suddenly shut off, leaving the entire area in darkness. Then, a massive truck appears from the opposite direction. Martin's men immediately get out to investigate, but before they can figure out what's happening, Ray emerges and opens fire on Martin's vehicle. The gunmen search the area after assuming Ray has been killed, but their confidence doesn't last long. Ray suddenly gets back on his feet as if the bullets had barely affected him. Another intense firefight erupts, with Martin's men falling one after another. Realizing he's losing his entire team, Martin contacts a man named Nick and urgently asks him to send reinforcements. Moments later, after Martin's men unleash a brutal barrage of gunfire, Ray emerges from the thick smoke. And somehow he's still standing, completely unharmed. The moment Ray is shot inside the vehicle, something incredible happens again. The wounds begin closing on their own just as they have before. Terrified, Martin tries to warn Ray that Harding has been lying to him all along, but Ray refuses to listen. Still believing Martin is responsible for everything, he decides to finish him off. The following day, Ray is brought back to the facility. His teammates are already waiting because the nanobots inside his body have dropped to dangerously low levels. Ray is placed inside the bioelectric chamber once again, with Jimmy standing nearby. However, Jimmy clearly isn't happy to see him. He considers Ray more of a burden than an asset. Following Harding's orders, Jimmy activates a command that will erase Ray's memories. The machine begins working, wiping away his existing memories and replacing them with an entirely fabricated version of his past. Not long after, Katie arrives and finds Harding there as well. This is when the real plan finally comes to light. Harding deliberately altered Ray's memories so that he would believe Nick was the man who murdered Gina. Nick's appearance had been manipulated in Ray's memories to make him look like the killer. The reason behind all of this is simple. Harding wants to eliminate anyone who knows the truth about his company's darkest secrets, one target at a time. Eventually, the memory manipulation is complete. Ray's memories are restored, but only according to the version Harding wants him to remember. This time, Harding makes sure that whenever Ray recalls the man who killed his wife, he sees Martin's face instead of Nick's. Back at the office, Eric and Harding continue monitoring Ray's movements. Ray has already reached his destination and pretends to be unconscious. Meanwhile, Nick notices that Ray has arrived outside his house and immediately calls Wiggins, a highly skilled programmer, for help. Eric manages to hack into the security cameras around Nick's property and watches everything remotely. But then he spots Wiggins and immediately recognizes the legendary programmer. Wiggins pulls out a device known as an EMP, or electromagnetic pulse generator. The powerful electromagnetic burst can interfere with and potentially disable the nanobots inside Ray's body. Harding suddenly realizes how dangerous the situation has become. He orders Ray to leave immediately. But Ray doesn't obey. Instead, almost like a machine following a new command, he shuts down Harding's voice control inside his own memory system. Nick tries to use a remote EMP device to stop Ray before he can attack. Unfortunately for Nick, the device fails to work properly, and he is killed without Ray even realizing what happened behind him. At the same time, Wiggins uses another EMP device and successfully shuts down the nanobots inside Ray's body. Thanks to Wiggins' expertise, Ray is eventually brought back to consciousness. Once he wakes up, Ray realizes something about his memories has never felt right. He tells Wiggins that he keeps having nightmares in which his wife is murdered, but the person responsible seems to change every time. Wiggins already knows about the rumors surrounding the deaths of former RSD defectors. He explains that all of those people had one thing in common: they knew about the company's dirty secrets. Nick was actually one of RSD's former scientists. He left the company after discovering what Harding and the organization were really doing. That is when Ray finally understands the truth. Harding had been manipulating him from the beginning, using him as a weapon to serve his own interests. Realizing that he has never truly searched for Gina, Ray decides to find her. Wiggins tries to stop him, afraid that Harding will eventually track Ray down, regain control of his mind, and kill Wiggins in the process. To prove that he can still be trusted, Ray gives Wiggins a sample of his own blood and stores it in a special container. This allows Wiggins to continue monitoring and assisting him remotely through the program they installed. Once Harding realizes that Ray is on the move again, he sends Tibbs and Jimmy after him. Their mission is to bring Ray back to the laboratory. Eventually, Ray makes his way to London, England. After tracking down Gina's location, Ray finally gets the chance to see what happened to her. But what he discovers leaves him devastated. Gina has already moved on. She is married and has built an entirely new life without him. Heartbroken, Ray accepts that the woman he once loved has a family of her own. With nothing left to say, he decides to leave and continue on his own. But on the way back, another vehicle suddenly crashes into Ray's car. The driver is Jimmy, who is acting under Harding's orders and has been sent to eliminate Ray. But Ray isn't about to surrender without a fight. As Ray attempts to escape, Tibbs activates his specialized equipment and begins tracking him. He quickly sends Ray's location to Jimmy, who opens fire in an attempt to weaken his target. The bullets cause serious injuries, but the nanobots inside Ray's body immediately begin repairing the damage. The sight of Ray recovering from wounds that should have been fatal terrifies the people nearby. Tibbs then steps in and drives a high-tech tactical blade into Ray's body, hoping to disable him. The situation quickly spirals out of control when Jimmy and Tibbs finally manage to capture Ray. Katie witnesses what is happening and tries to escape the facility so she can help him. But Harding has already backed her into a corner. Unable to fight him directly, Katie is forced to follow his orders and is given a new mission: find and capture Wiggins. Eventually, Ray is brought face to face with Harding. All the anger he has been holding inside finally explodes. Ray confronts Harding and accuses him of manipulating his memories, controlling his mind, and treating him like nothing more than a puppet. But this time, Ray makes one thing perfectly clear. He will never allow Harding to control him again. Back at the facility, Katie returns and is immediately confronted by Jimmy, who reveals that Harding intends to remove the nanobots from Ray's body. Katie rushes to Harding's control room and tells him that Wiggins has escaped. Furious over Katie's failure, Harding once again attempts to manipulate Ray's memories and orders him to eliminate Wiggins. But his plan doesn't go as expected. At the critical moment, Katie reaches the control room and manages to access Ray's subconscious. Instead of helping Harding, she sends a warning signal to Wiggins, giving him a chance to restore Ray's true memories.
no. How is she doing it?
The truth.
Even though Katie manages to complete her mission, Harding gets to her before she can escape. He disables her breathing support, leaving her completely helpless. Meanwhile, after learning that Ray has escaped, Jimmy and Tibbs put on specially designed combat gear created to withstand Ray's extraordinary strength. While checking the security cameras, Tibbs suddenly spots Ray approaching their position. Ray is on his way to the 74th floor when Wiggins establishes a connection with him and urgently tells him to head downstairs. But Ray ignores the warnings. He keeps moving forward, determined to reach Jimmy. At the same time, Katie manages to destroy Harding's server room with an explosive device. Not long after, Ray finally reaches Jimmy, who is already waiting for him with his powerful robotic arm ready for battle. Just as Jimmy expected, Ray's enhanced abilities allow him to match him blow for blow, despite Jimmy having advanced combat technology on his side. The fight becomes even more dangerous when Tibbs joins in to help Jimmy. 2 against 1 may seem unfair, but this is Ray we're talking about. His strength has already proven to be on another level, and even Jimmy and Tibbs are beginning to fear what he can do. Fighting both of them at once is far from impossible for Ray. At one point, Jimmy and Tibbs manage to knock Ray off the building. They assume the fall has finally killed him. But moments later, they're stunned to see Ray still alive, desperately climbing his way back toward the upper floors. When Tibbs is nearly pulled over the edge, Jimmy chooses not to save him. Instead, he deliberately cuts one of the cables holding Tibbs. Tibbs falls. Seeing what Jimmy has done, Ray immediately charges toward him. Just as the final cable snaps, Ray reaches Jimmy and unleashes everything he's got. After a brutal struggle, Ray finally overpowers Jimmy and completely destroys his robotic arm. With Jimmy now dead, Harding tries to make his escape. But Ray catches up with him before he can get away. Harding fires at Ray, hoping the attack will weaken him. Unfortunately for Harding, the plan backfires. The confrontation ends with both men being taken down by the very attack Harding thought would give him the advantage. 1 year later, Ray is still alive. More importantly, he has finally broken free from Harding's control and no longer belongs to anyone. For the first time, Ray is free to live life on his own terms. And this time he chooses to spend that life with Katie, the woman he has come to love. At first glance, this may look like a story about a super soldier who was brought back to life and given extraordinary abilities. But beneath all the action, violence, and advanced technology, the movie actually leaves us with several important lessons. The first is that having power doesn't mean having freedom. Ray was given incredible strength. His body could recover from injuries that would have killed an ordinary person, and he could fight enemies far stronger than himself. But despite all that power, Ray was still being controlled. Harding could manipulate his memories, influence his decisions, and even use him as a weapon against people who knew too much. This shows us that true strength isn't simply about how powerful your body is. Sometimes the greatest form of strength is having the courage to think for yourself. Ray eventually realizes that the memories he trusted were not entirely his own. The people he believed were his enemies had been placed in his path by someone who wanted to control him. And that leads to the second lesson. We shouldn't blindly trust everything we're told. Harding presented himself as the man who gave Ray a second chance at life. But behind that kindness was a hidden agenda. He manipulated Ray because he knew that controlling someone's memories meant controlling their understanding of reality. The movie reminds us that information can be just as powerful as physical strength. If someone controls what you know, they can influence what you believe. That's why questioning the truth and thinking independently can sometimes be more important than simply following orders. The third lesson is about letting go of the past. Ray spends much of the story trying to understand what happened to his wife and why he can't remember his previous life. He becomes obsessed with finding the person responsible for her death. But when he finally discovers the truth, things don't turn out the way he expected. Gina has already moved on and built a new life. That moment is painful, but it teaches Ray something important. Sometimes, getting the answer we've been searching for doesn't bring back what we've lost. And sometimes the only way to move forward is to accept that the past cannot be changed. Finally, the movie shows us that being given a second chance means nothing if we don't choose what to do with it. Ray was literally given a second life. At first, that life belonged to Harding. He was treated like an experiment, a weapon, and an asset. But by the end, Ray takes control of his own destiny. He breaks free from the person who created him and decides to live for himself. And perhaps that's the biggest message of the entire story. Your past may shape you and other people may try to control you, but they don't have to decide who you become. Ray lost his memories, his old life, and almost everything he once knew. But he didn't lose his ability to choose. In the end, he realizes that being alive isn't enough. True freedom comes from having the courage to decide your own path. And sometimes, the most important battle isn't against the enemy standing in front of you. It's against the person trying to control the person you are meant to become.